Zander here, and we're back looking at brews in Standard. This is a super fun deck that I've put together for you guys. I've been playtesting the hell out of this, and it's winning me a shitload of games. It's just insanely fun. It's super explosive and really, really fast. So, put this deck together if you get a chance. This is Gutter Burn. So, its namesake of the deck is Gutter Snipe. So, I'll just talk about the deck. I'll talk about the sideboard, interactions between, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the video. So, I'll start off the lineup with the 4 of Gutter Snipe. So Gutter Snipe is a Goblin Shaman for 3. He's for 2 and 1 red, a 2/2. And then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Gutter Snipe deals 2 damage to each opponent. That ability in a burn deck is absolutely insane. So definitely running him in a 4 of. It's also the namesake of the deck. Because of the release of Guilds of Ravnica, we've also got a heap of new toys that come with that. And one of which is Electrostatic Field. So it's like a pseudo Gutter Snipe. So Electrostatic Field is for 2, 1 and a red, a 0/4 wall with Defender. And then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, just like with Gutter Snipe, you deal 1 damage to each opponent. So instead of 2 damage, it's 1, but it's at 1 cost less, so you can play on curve. 2 costs, you play this. 3 costs, you play Gutter Snipe. Turn 4, you're playing a heap of burn spells and dealing a lightning bolt worth of damage every time you play a spell. So it's, yeah, it just scales out really crazily. We're also playing a little bit of a Wizards package in here with the 4 of Viashino Pyromancers. So for 2, it's 1 and 1 red, a 2/1 Viashino Wizard with whenever Viashino Pyromancer enters the battlefield, you deal 2 damage to target player or Planeswalker. So we're also playing Flame of Keld in here. So Flame of Keld's tick has gone off and we draw into this and we play it. When the turn we play it, you're bolting them for 4 to the face. So it's really, really good. The other wizard we're playing in here is also the 4 of G2 Lava Runner, which is for 1, so 1 red. It's a human wizard, it's a 1/2, and as long as there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, it gets this +1, +0, and haste. Super cheap 1-drop wizard. It turns out Wizard's Lightning online, so I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, being able to swing in with haste, have the early 1-drop in there as a blocker, it's just, yeah, a really good card. Another one of the really fun toys that we got with Guilds of Ravnica is Runaway Steamkin. Now this guy's an elemental for 2, so 1 and a red. It's a 1/1. That's not great stats, but whenever you cast a red spell, not instant, not sorcery, not whatever, it's just a red spell, can be creatures. If Runaway Steamkin has fewer than 3 +1 counters on it, you put a +1 counter on it. And then its second ability is remove 3 +1 counters from it, add 3 red to your mana pool. So this guy ramps us in red, which is insane. And in a burn deck, it's even better because we can chain off burn spells. So we go burn, or play a creature, put a counter on it. Play a couple of burn spells, put 2 more counters on it, and then remove the counters from it to add 3 to play more burn or more creatures, and then keep adding counters. And having this as early as turn 3, swinging in as a 4/4 is fucking insane. It's really, really good. So definitely running this guy in a 4 of. We're running a silver bullet copy here of Bane Fire, which is a bit of a counter matchup kind of thing, but it's also a finisher in this deck. So Bane Fire is X and 1. It's at sorcery speed, which is a bit shit, but Bane Fire deals X damage to any target. If X is 5 or more, this spell can't be countered and the damage can't be prevented. So it not being countered is really relevant because there's going to be a whole lot of control matchups coming up with the new rotation. Counter burn, just is it control? A lot of people are liking the look of Esper, blue-black control. There's a lot of control decks happening, so Bane Fire is definitely something that Mono Red especially is going to want to be playing. So we've got another copy in the sideboard, but we're just running the 1 copy in the main board here. Talking about the spells, we are running a 4 of Lightning Strike, which is for 2, 1 and a red. At instant speed, you deal 3 damage to target creature or player. Pretty basic. Wizard's Lightning, which I talked about earlier. So Wizard's Lightning is for 3, 2 and 1 red. At instant speed, it deals 3 damage to any target, but it costs 2 less if you control a wizard. So because we only have 8 wizards in the deck, we're not always going to be playing this for 1. But 3 damage for 3 at instant speed is still okay. But if we can play this for 1, it's a Lightning Bolt and it's insane. They didn't want to reprint Lightning Bolt ever again in Standard, but this is a pseudo Lightning Bolt and I'm happy it's here. It's not going away anytime soon. One of the most insane cards to come out of guilds for mono red is Risk Factor. We're running this guy in a 4 of. It's for 3, so 2 and a red. At instant speed, target opponent may have Risk Factor deal 4 damage to them. If that player doesn't, you draw 3 cards. And the new mechanic that come out with guilds is Jumpstart. So you may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs, then exile this card. So it's essentially like a flashback, but it's costing you a card to do it. It doesn't matter what the card is, you can do land, you can do whatever you don't want. But being able to do this twice for each time, so this is potentially an insane amount of damage, just by itself. But if we've got a Gutter Snipe or an Electromanth out, then the 4 damage turns into, I play Risk Factor, Gutter Snipe deals you 2, Electrostatic deals you 1, you've already taken 3, presumably by this point you've already hit them for some damage, they're sitting pretty low, probably around the 10-ish mark, they don't want to be taking more damage, but they don't want to be letting you draw cards, so if they let you draw cards, you basically, it's a lot of the time you're just going to win, because you're just drawing into more burn, or they take the damage, and it's 4 damage for 3, so it's just, yeah, such a good card. Also running a 4 of Shock, which is for 1, at instant speed, deal 2 damage to any target. Really basic, super cheap, it's just good value. One of my favourite pieces that come out of Dominaria, and I've said it was a sleeper, it started getting picked up and noticed at the end of this last pro season, where it was getting played in mono red Wizards and a couple of other mono red decks or red black decks, and it's the Flame of Keld, which is for 2. It's a saga, so 1 and 1 red. The turn you play, so it ticks up every turn after it's played. So the turn you play it, you discard your hand. A lot of the times we're trying to dump our hand as fast as we can, so we don't really care. So the turn you play it, you discard your hand. The turn after it's played, you draw 2 cards. So you'll draw your card per turn and 2 more cards. And then on the 3rd turn, so the turn after that, if a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2 to that permanent or player instead. So if we've got a Gutter Snipe out and we play a spell, the Gutter Snipe's dealing 4 damage. If we've got the Electrostatic out, the Electrostatic's dealing 3 damage. Our burn spell, say it's Lightning Strike, is dealing 5 damage, and then 4 damage from the Gutter Snipe, and you get the idea. This is absolutely insane in this deck. I didn't want to see too much of it, because we kind of want other stuff that isn't just dumping our hand in. Like, it ticks up a bit, and it's a bit of draw card, but we've got a lot of draw card with the Risk Factor. So, I think 3 is the right number for this, but yeah, I really, really like the card. And to round out the spells, we're playing a 2 of Fight with Fire, which is for 3, 2 and a red at sorcery speed. You Fight with Fire deals 5 damage to target creature, but if it was kicked, so it's got kick as 6, so 5 and a red. If it was kicked, it deals 10 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets instead. Now this can just outright finish a game. If it gets through, just bang 10 damage to the face. If we've got Gutter Snipes out, it's dealing more, you get the idea. But if Flame of Keld is on its 3rd tick, and damage is dealing 2 more, then Fight with Fire can turn into basically a Sweltering Suns. You can target 10 different things and deal 3 damage. So it's just a really, really useful card in this that's got a lot of utility. And being able to deal 5 damage to a creature, even at sorcery speed, like Lyra is a thing. There's a couple of other really big, like, hard-hitting creatures in Standard at the moment, and this just can deal with them, which is good. Just going on with the land base, 18 mountains. That is it. I think 18 is the right number. I'm not often short for land, unless I'm getting really dicked by draws, but yeah, a lot of the time it's been okay. You might want to tweak that a bit, but yeah. Just touching over the sideboard here, we have a 3 of Rekindling Phoenix. When it decides it wants to work. Rekindling Phoenix is for 4, 2 and 2 red. It's a 4/3 Phoenix with flying, and whenever Rekindling Phoenix dies, create a 0/1 red elemental creature token with, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice this creature and return a card named Rekindling Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste until end of turn. So if our generic burn plan isn't working, then we switch it up into just being a mono red, just solid value deck. So we throw in the Rekindling Phoenixes. I've got a 3 of Goblin Chainwhirler here, which is Goblin Chainwhirler is for 3 red. It's a 3/3 Goblin Warrior with first strike, but when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. Token matchups is going to be a very big thing going into this next set, because tokens, the new tokens all have fucking lifelink, which is insane. But they're going to build up a board, and hopefully we can land the Chainwhirlers like when we need them and just sweep them away and then continue dealing damage. So Chainwhirler is a very necessary piece that needs to be... I didn't want to fit it in the main board, but it's a very necessary piece in the sideboard. So running it in a 3 of. Running a 2 of Sentinel Totem for the graveyard matchups. So Sentinel Totem is for 1, it's an artifact that sits on the battlefield, and then when it enters the battlefield, you scry 1, and then it's got tap exile Sentinel Totem, and exile all cards from all graveyards. Surveil pitches a lot of stuff to the grave. Golgari's running a lot of graveyard stuff, so Graveyard Hate is something that you're going to need to run, which it just happens that way. Looking again at the token matchups, Fiery Cannonade. Sweltering Suns is rotating out. We needed something to replace it. This is about as good as it gets. So Fiery Cannonade is for 3. It's 2 and a red. At instant speed, it deals 2 damage to each non-pirate creature. Now, pirates is a pretty well dead tribe at the moment. You don't see a lot of pirate decks kicking around. And even when they do, they're not running like super wide like a lot of these token decks will. So like if we're running up against a token deck, we can put in 3 Chainwhirlers and 2 Fiery Cannonades, and we're looking pretty sweet in terms of being able to push them back. Now, we've got a few creatures that are going to care about this, like our Gutter Snipes, our Viashinos, our Gittus. Our Electrostatics will stick around, but yeah, if they're going super wide, we just want to be able to kind of slow their roll a bit, like just knock them down. And this is a great card for that. Just touching on more Graveyard Hate. Silent Gravestone is for 1. It's an artifact. Cards in graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities. For 4, tap, exile Silent Gravestone and all cards from all graveyards. Draw a card. This is more for the Golgari matchup. The Jumpstart stuff, I don't think it affects it because it's just casting it. It's not really doing an ability. It's not targeting it. So it's a bit shit with that. But yeah, it's still Graveyard Hate, which is good. Running a 2 of Sorcerer's Spyglass, which is... I fucking love this card. So it's for 2. It's an artifact that sits on the battlefield. As Sorcerer's Spyglass enters the battlefield, you look at an opponent's hand and you choose any card name. Activated abilities of sorcerers with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So you don't have to choose a card in their hand. It can be anything. So if you're versing against like a Turbo Fog deck, you can play a sorcerers and then just pick Teferi and just shut down Teferi. This shuts down Planeswalkers. This shuts down anything that isn't a mana ability, as long as it's inactivated. So it's a really, really good card. It's great for those matchups, and we're definitely running into 2 of in this sideboard. Just to finish off the sideboard, we're running another single copy of Bane Fire, just for the control matchups. Probably want to run a couple of them in the main. So that's all that's there for. And that's the deck. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications if you want to see new videos when they come out. If you liked the video, if you liked the deck, if you didn't like the deck, if you think I'm missing some cards or whatever, let me know in the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys. Keep questing.